Hey, what's up, guys? Coach Ben here for Jiu-Jitsu Magazine. This is going to be the Drawing the Line episode for Fight to Win 171, and also I'll have some of my bets for Submission Underground as well. Okay, so before we start, this podcast is brought to you by Fight to Win Sportsbook. So you can email f2wbet@gmail.com and they will open an account for you, a betting account. So if you really enjoy betting grappling and you really know a lot of the, I guess, lesser known competitors, then Fight to Win Sportsbook is really the best place to bet, because there's people on there that are like, blue belts and purple belts. I've never even heard of them, right? But if you follow grappling pretty closely, then there are betting lines on Fight to Win Sportsbook. All right. We also are, we're not sponsored by these sports books, but they are generous enough to have grappling lines. So we always want to give them a shout out. Bet DSI and also Bet Online. So if you go and scroll down to the bottom, we have links with our affiliate codes, and helps out the podcast if you sign up with our link. And so that's it. Bet DSI, Bet Online, and also Fight to Win Sportsbook are the places that we recommend you doing your betting. And definitely recommend Fight to Win Sportsbook if you're going to bet on some of the smaller shows and some of the lesser known fighters. Okay, so getting into Fight to Win 171. This card is going to be a smaller card as a whole, but the main fights are very good. So we're going to start with the fourth fight from the main, which is going to be Juni Ocasio taking on Daniel D. Jesus. And this fight, I don't know much about Daniel. I don't never seen him compete. I don't exactly know his game. I went and saw some of his matches, looked at some of his social media, and it seems like he's a gi guy, and it doesn't seem like he's ever competed at Fight to Win. So he seems like a very young guy. And it's very hard to gauge, where he's at just by watching a few matches where they're more like highlights. So he's beating these guys pretty handily. But this is a huge step up. Juni is sitting at minus 350, right? So he's a big favorite. I would avoid this fight. We just don't know. Fight to Win rules, especially. It's very rare that an unknown competitor like DeJesus would be able to beat Juni, who's so experienced and considered a top competitor. But Jiu-Jitsu is one of these things where there are more surprises under this rule set, just because this guy could come out just on fire and score a lot of points, and Juni may not be able to come back. Things can happen, right? So to bet minus 350. You have to be sure that Juni is going to get the submission. I do think he does get the submission by leg lock, but I just don't think that it's worth paying the minus 350 price for this. All right, so next fight, we have Oliver Taza, pretty well-known competitor from the Danaher Death Squad. He's taking on Hugo Marquez, a little lesser-known fighter. I believe he's out of Alliance. I could be wrong there. But this fight is a pretty standard matchup here. Oliver Taza, leg locker, good no-gi specialist. So right away, Hugo does gi and no-gi. Right away, Oliver's going to be, have an inherent advantage there just because he's a specialist. And also under Fight to Win rules, it's very, very hard to beat Taza by submission. So he kind of takes away one of your paths to victory right away. So you have to beat this guy by decision. We've seen him lose as a big favorite before. He lost to Pedro Rocha. I think Gabriel Almeida got him by decision. So those guys are very, very good. But again, they were underdogs to Oliver, and Oliver's the favorite again. So Hugo Marquez is underdog in this match, and he's a plus 225. I would avoid this match. There's not enough of an upside for Hugo for me to bet him as an underdog. I just don't know how he's going to win. At the same time, Oliver Taza has lost before as a favorite, so you're putting your money at 3-1 risk, and he could lose by decision. And he has lost by decision. So this is one of these fights that I just would avoid. I would bet Taza if he was like minus is minus 185 or less, probably even less than that. But minus 270, you have to avoid this match. All right. Next match, we have Tubby Alikin taking on Gabby McComb. They fought each other many times, and most people think that this match is going to go to decision. And Tubby's probably going to win by decision. That's my guess. Depending on whether or not you have props, I think Tubby by decision is a good bet. I believe this week the only site with props is the Fight to Win Sportsbook. So you must have an account there to bet the decision and the submission props. Gabby's very good. She's a top competitor. She's competed in Fight to Win a lot, and so is Tubby. They're both pretty experienced. I can see this pretty much being a split decision, and it could go either way. I just, I think I would take whoever is the underdog here. Tubby by decision hopefully is a plus number. If it's a minus number, I would avoid it. If it's at underdog odds, I would take it. If it's at favorite odds, I would avoid it. Gabby is the underdog. She's at plus 110. I do think there's a little bit of value there. So 0.5 units on Gabby wouldn't be bad. She could. She probably loses a split decision or decision, but I just think the value is there. If it's a 50-50 and the person you're betting on is like plus 110, you're getting a little bit of a margin, right? It just depends on how, are you a value bettor or do you more bet? You really should always be a value bettor, just to be honest. But there are people who bet more for fun. And, they like to pick winners, right? That's not a great long-term betting strategy, but if that's what you're doing, you're having fun and it's having success, I would avoid this fight too. So far we have 3 passes. McComb, possibly 0.5 units by just straight up money line. I'll when we get to Ben's bets, I'll tighten that up. I'll have a decision made by then. Okay. So the main event is going to be between Wagner Hocha taking on William Tackett. These are 2 very well-known competitors, and it's going to be in Wagner's hometown. So Tackett really, in my opinion, should be a bigger favorite. And there's nothing against Wagner. Wagner against most people, he would be a favorite against most people, Wagner. But Tackett is just very, very good. He's on fire too. He's really hasn't lost recently at all, and has looked just incredibly dominant. The only match he lost was Victor Hugo, who outweighed him by 60 pounds. So I just don't know how Wagner is going to win here. Wagner's not the most aggressive submission hunter, so I don't know how he's going to score. Tackett goes for submissions all the time, so we really will not have any problem with seeing Tackett score. It's just that, can he actually get submission attempts off? Wagner is very, very good at just holding that standing base and just being very heavy on top and just nullifying attacks. So I can see Wagner just standing in Tackett's guard and just trying to nullify attacks while Tackett's trying to attack legs coming up from the bottom, attack submissions from the bottom. I don't think Tackett is going to want to wrestle with Wagner, but crazier things have happened. So with this match, I am going to bet William Tackett. I think that there is a big risk here in the sense that it's in Wagner's hometown. If this thing goes to decision, all bets are off. The crowd is going to all be on Wagner's side, and people are going to be at the event for him. His academy is in Miami, or it's near Miami, and Fight Sports is this team. His main academy is in Miami. So if this thing goes to decision, all bets are off. But Tackett, I think, I don't know if he finishes Wagner, but if it's close, the decision's going to Wagner. But if it's dominant, if Tackett rolls off 5 or 6 submission attempts, and Wagner just really doesn't get off any submission attempts, you have to give the decision to Tackett no matter what. And that's what I kind of see potentially happening. And there's also it's not out of the question that Tackett just submits him. It's not completely out of the question. Wagner is getting older. This guy's been around. He's done it all, right? So Wagner is 38 years old. Tackett's, I think, 20 or possibly even younger. He's 20 years old. So, I mean, we're talking 20-year age gap here. There's a rule in betting MMA where you really don't want to bet people that are significantly older than their competition, right? So if somebody is 5 years older, they have like a 60%. The younger competitor has a 60% chance of winning. If they're 10 years older, the younger competitor has, I think, like a 65% chance of winning. So, just by that alone, the odds, again, this is MMA, so grappling is very different. I think competitors can compete further into their older age. And so, but if we just kind of think about it that way, using that example, then Tackett really should open as a bigger favorite just based on age alone. And he's lower ranked than Wagner, but I mean, would anybody say he's lower skilled than Wagner? I don't think anybody would. I think Tackett's one of the people that I consider in the next 5 years one of the only people that I think has a chance at outright beating Gordon Ryan. I think it's a possibility. He could do it. And I don't see many other people in all of Jiu-Jitsu being able to do that. So I'm very high on Tackett, and I will be betting William Tackett 2 units. 2 units on William. I'm sorry, not 2 units. 1 unit on William Tackett. 1 unit on William Tackett. I would be willing to go up to 1.5 units, but 2 units is just a little too much of a risk for me. I do think that Wagner is definitely live here for the decision. So yeah, that's it for the card, and we're going to come back in a second with a wrap-up. All right, so now I'm going to go into Coach Ben's bets, and this is a segment we have that eventually, hopefully, somebody will sponsor. We'll see. We have a sponsor in the works. So Ben's bets is where I give just the bets that I'm going to make, and this is also where I'm going to bring in Submission Underground. Submission Underground is also happening on Sunday. Sunday is going to be Submission Underground. It's going to be on UFC Fight Pass, and I will be bringing in some bets from that card as well. So let's start with Fight to Win. Okay, I have 1.5. I ended up deciding on 1.5 units on William Tackett. Straight up. No props, straight up. I decided to skip the rest of the fights. If you really want to just get some money down, you want to just have some fun, put some good value out there, I think 0.5, so half a unit on Gabby McComb is not bad. I think she could win a decision. So it's a 50-50 fight, so I think, whoever's the underdog there's value. So for Fight to Win, 0.5 units on Gabby McComb, and that is optional if you would like to place that bet. I'm still mulling it over myself, but I'll probably place it. And then William Tackett, 1.5 units over Wagner Hocha. Okay, let's put it this way. If you are going to place that 0.5 unit bet on McComb, I think you should go 1.5 units on Tackett and not 1 unit. I originally, in the previous part of the podcast, I recommended 1 unit, but I've changed my mind to 1.5 units. Okay. All right. So Submission Underground. So we're not going to go over the whole card, but I'm just going to give you the recommended bets that I have. This is a very chalk heavy card here, a lot of big favorites. So I am going to be betting, I've already made these bets actually, so I'm not sure how the odds are. They could have really swayed big time. I have bet Elijah Carlton, and I've bet him for 2 units, Submission Underground. I have bet Kyle Chambers. I bet Kyle Chambers 3 units. I just don't see how Kyle is going to lose against Ben Egley. Ben Egley's MMA fighter. He's very good, but he's too small. And this is, 10th Planet Kyle Chambers. This is EBI rules. He is a master of this rule set. I actually think Kyle Chambers by submission at minus 350 is almost a lock. But again, I've bet, I put a little bit on the submission, and I've put 3 units on Kyle Chambers straight up. This is a risky bet. We're taking a big risk here. Minus 500 is no joke. This is one of these things where I think Kyle probably should be like minus 1,000. So again, it's a value bet. If you don't have a big bankroll, do not make these types of bets. Do not bet anything over minus 300 if you don't have a pretty big bankroll and you're a consistent sports bettor. All right, main event. I have 2 units on Mason Fowler at minus 400, and I have 1 unit on Mason Fowler by submission. I really think that Mason is just on another level right now. I think Andy Varela is very good. He's earned his way to the top, but it's really Mason who's the star. This guy beat Craig Jones twice. Honestly, I think Mason should be minus 800, and I expect him to be bet up to that at some point. But again, there's risks in all of these bets, and especially some of the big favorites. You just got to be careful. I am recommending you bet these because there's too much value. Mason, I can't see losing. Kyle, I cannot see losing. Elijah Carlton, I cannot see losing. These are big favorites. I wish there were parlays. If there were parlays available, I would parlay all 3. There are parlays available. Fight to Win Sportsbook is the only place that you can bet parlays. For now, we're getting that changed in other sports books, but for now, Fight to Win Sportsbook. If you parlay all 3, I think you get a pretty good price. So that's it. That's Ben's bets. Let's review. We have, for Submission Underground, we have Mason Fowler, 2 units, Kyle Chambers, 3 units. I also have a little bit on Mason Fowler by submission. I have a little bit on Kyle Chambers by submission. And then I also bet Elijah Carlton straight up to beat Lee Flores. All right. And the Fight to Win 171 bets were 2 units on, 1.5 units on William Tackett straight up, and then 0.5 on Gabby McCall. And that's it. Hope you guys have a great weekend. It's a big weekend of fights, UFC, Submission Underground, Fight to Win. And then next week we got Who's Number One. Those lines should be hitting on Saturday or Sunday on most of the major betting sites. And that's it. Thank you guys for listening, and talk to you soon. Bye.